Welcome to Cult Film School. Class is in session. We're your hosts, Adrian, that's me, and Dion.
That's me.
That's you. In this episode titled Travolta Sweats, we are discussing one of the most seminal movies of all time, and Saturday Night Fever. No, of course, the real seminal film in this episode is 1977's Saturday Night Fever. It's one of those few movies that is, well, it's more than a movie. This film alone captures the essence of the disco era and propelled it into mainstream popularity, with its infectious soundtrack featuring the Bee Gees, launching them into superstardom, and its star-making performance by the one and only John Travolta. Saturday Night Fever transcends and captures
Zeitgeist.
Saturday Night Fever transcends and captures its zeitgeist.
The zeitgeist.
Saturday Night Fever transcends and captures the zeitgeist.
Oh, yeah.
It's a cultural touchstone, really.
So you're saying it's more than a movie to you.
Oh. Yes. Now I got that song stuck in my head.
That's a good one.
More than a woman.
We'll have more than one before we're done here.
Oh, I know. So Saturday Night Fever, you've either seen it, or if you haven't, you know of it. You just do. Everything about this movie is iconic. And then 6 years later, in 1983, there was a sequel written and directed by Sylvester Stallone, which is, well, not as iconic. That's fair to say.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah. Called Staying Alive, named after the classic song by the Bee Gees from Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive. So, Staying Alive, named after Staying Alive. We'll just leave it at that for now. But before we get into any of this, Dion, we're going to throw on some polyester and get sweaty. That sounded weird, but just go with it.
Hey-o.
Don't forget to follow us on social media, people. Our handle on everything is all at Cult Film School. Give us a like, comment, share, check out our reviews on the movies we cover on the pod, and also Letterboxd. You can follow us there. And as always, we can be reached at by email, cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com. Every which way you can reach us is listed in the show notes of this episode, so check us out. Do it. Okay, so Dion.
Yeah?
Saturday Night Fever and Staying Alive.
Yes.
What's your history with these films?
I have a vague memory of my mother taking me to see Staying Alive in its theatrical first run. The weirder one is Saturday Night Fever, and if I had to think back to my earliest memory of Saturday Night Fever, it's probably Airplane. In Airplane, there is...
Oh, I just got that. Sorry.
There is a flashback scene to when the couple meet in a bar, and it's parroting Saturday Night Fever. And that's probably my first exposure to it. To be fair, I don't even know when I saw Saturday Night Fever from start to finish. It's probably been only in the last few years. So my relationship with them is, yeah, I might have seen one of them theatrically, but yeah, I know it through parody more than anything. That's me. What about you?
It's funny, that scene in Airplane where they parody that movie, that parody is parodied in the movie Ted.
Okay.
There's a flashback where Mark Wahlberg's character first met Mila Kunis's character, and they do the parody version scene from Airplane, which is parodying Saturday Night Fever. That's a reference for our younger listeners. Okay, so these two films, my mom introduced me to these films. She, the whole disco scene, that was her scene. I think I was 11 or 12 years old. So it's one of those films, Saturday Night Fever, that I watched in my adolescence, but it dealt with the adolescence of my parents' age. So it's one of those films that you kind of watched in a way to kind of understand your parents a bit better. That kind of thing. I'm sure some people know what I'm talking about, but I loved it. The music, the dancing, the whole disco scene, I loved it. And Staying Alive, I loved as well. it took an embarrassing long time for 11, 12-year-old me to realize that Staying Alive was actually the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, because they just, in my head, they weren't connected in any which way, which we'll get into.
Wait. What do you mean they weren't connected? It's the same actor in the same role, right?
Yeah, but as an 11, 12-year-old, I didn't clue into me that was the same Tony.
I mean, it's fair. There's 6 years between the films. And to be fair, it's an open question whether it is the same Tony Manero in Staying Alive as in Saturday Night Fever, which I'm sure we'll get into in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to be too hard on myself for thinking that at the time, because I kind of understand it. But even before I saw these movies, I knew of them, the images of the posters were around. Before I saw Saturday Night Fever, I knew that iconic stance with him on the dance floor in the white suit. And even Staying Alive, the sweaty Travolta wearing the headband with that curious expression on his face, like he's getting blown by someone who's using a little bit more teeth than he would like. Anyways, speaking of blowjobs, Dion.
Yes?
Did you know that Saturday Night Fever is the first mainstream Hollywood film to use the term blowjob?
I did hear that, actually. I was surprised because I thought, hey, man, it's the 70s. But yeah, there you go.
The More You Know by Cult Film School. So, yeah, that was my history with these films. So 11, 12 years old was my introduction to both of them.
So now, 11, 12 years old, Saturday Night Fever is rated R?
My parents didn't care about that stuff.
No, but I'm just saying that it was rated R. I know there was a TV cut of Saturday Night Fever.
No, I watched the real one.
No, but what I'm saying is I know there was a PG cut to play on TV when it went into kind of the TV presentation of it. But yeah, look at you, all grown up. I'm just still thinking that it really is Airplane. So my relationship with them obviously is more different than your. It isn't as scarred into the brain perhaps as it is for you, in a good way and a bad way.
I love these films, both of them. I want to live in these films. Anyways, let's do it. Let's jump in.
Yes.
Cue up the sweet sounds of the Bee Gees and the even sweeter sounds of Frank Stallone. And talk some Saturday Night Fever and Staying Alive. This is Travolta Sweats.
Here at Cult Film School, we only have one rule, and that is to do your homework before coming to class. Please watch these two films in advance. Otherwise, beware of spoilers.
All right, Saturday Night Fever. Night fever, night fever. I love it. Okay, so if you go on IMDb, the plot of this film: anxious about his future after high school, a 19-year-old Italian-American from Brooklyn tries to escape the harsh reality of his bleak family life by dominating the dance floor at the local disco.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. I do forget that he's 19 years old in that film because Travolta was 23 and everyone in the 70s looked older.
He does have that great line to Stephanie when she asks how old he is.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm 20 and I'm almost 20. Because he's so young.
Yeah.
And he Travolta does a fantastic job of playing kind of young, and I don't even want to say clueless or naive, but just young and kind of myopic, but he's single focused, right? He knows a lot about a couple of things, and then he knows nothing about a whole bunch of other things, which the story of the film is him realizing these things he doesn't know, basically.
I just like when he's trying to kind of relate to her, right? And she's telling him Laurence Olivier, and he's no clue. And he's oh, him, he's good, right? It's just he clearly has no idea who Laurence Olivier is. And she's yeah, the guy in the Polaroid commercials.
And then he asks if she can get him a camera.
It's funny because it's Laurence Olivier. Anyways, okay, so this movie, like a lot of classic films, really interesting story of how this movie came to be. Could be a movie itself, but it all starts with one guy by the name of Robert Stigwood. Robert Stigwood was the manager of the Bee Gees, And he starts getting into producing. First, he starts with the stage production of Jesus Christ Superstar, then leads to the film version of that. Then he makes the film Tommy, which was based off the Who album. Then he takes this bold risk at the time by signing a TV actor, John Travolta, known for the show Welcome Back, Kotter, to a 3-picture movie deal.
The show is Welcome Back, Kotter, not Carter.
Kotter. Yeah. What did I say? Carter?
It sounded like Carter.
Okay. Yeah. Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh.
Up your nose with a rubber hose. So at the time, what was weird about that was TV and film actors crossing over was kind of rare. So many had seen Travolta as just like a TV actor, but Stigwood, for some reason, thought, no, he's a movie star. And I'm going to make him one by signing him to a 3-picture deal for $1 million. Problem with that was there was no pictures attached to that 3-picture movie deal. So the next step was to go find movie projects. So Stigwood sends his assistant out to go do just that. His assistant comes across an article in the New York Magazine titled "The Tribal Rights of the New Saturday Night" by this music writer named Nick Cohn. It was a piece that explored the lives of working class Italian American youth in the Bay Ridge, Brooklyn area who found their identity and escape from their daily struggles through the disco scene. Stigwood saw the movie potential in this article and convinced Paramount to come on board. And the deal he made was the sweetest deal I've ever read, which I'll talk about later. So Paramount's on board. Next enters director John Avildsen. He is interested in the project and invites Stigwood to watch the film that he just finished before its release to see if he's the right fit for the project. That film turns out to be Rocky. Fucking Rocky. Like, Stigwood thought it was a good film and signed on Avildsen. He recommends writer Norman Wexler to write the film because Wexler was known for writing gritty dramas like Joe and Serpico. And so Avildsen said, if you want gritty, this guy does gritty. It's at this time, Stigwood, who, remember, is the manager of the Bee Gees, calls them up because they're recording their next album in France and says he wants them to contribute music to the movie. Without reading the script, the Bee Gees just sent demos of the songs that they were recording for their next album. These demos were for songs Staying Alive, Night Fever, More Than a Woman, How Deep Is Your Love, and If I Can't Have You. You imagine getting that tape? Like, that's crazy.
It is.
While this is all taking place, fucking Rocky comes out and becomes like a huge hit. And suddenly Avildsen begins pushing for major changes. He wants to soften the main character. He wants to remove much of the profanity. He wants to minimize the Bee Gees music. And he wants to insert a more conventional romance and happier ending. So then Stigwood has his assistant call Avildsen, ask him to come to his office the next morning. And he does. And Stigwood tells Avildsen he's got good news and bad news. Good news is the Oscar nominations just came out and you've been nominated for an Oscar. Bad news is you're fired. So John Avildsen is out, though we are not done with the Rocky connection yet. They bring in director John Badham to direct, and he seems to be a good fit for everyone, and they make a movie, and the result is Saturday Night Fever. So before we jump into our thoughts on this film, the Stigwood deal, which I read is the same deal that George Lucas tried to get for when he did Star Wars. He secured this deal with Paramount Pictures for Saturday Night Fever. The Paramount execs at this time just kind of saw this as like a little dance movie. They had their whole focus on Looking for Mr. Goodbar, which was their big, Oscar tentpole movie that they wanted to put out. So they didn't really have a lot of, they didn't really care too much about this film. They only gave it a budget of $3 million. So he got nearly 50% of the whole film's profits, and he had total ownership of the soundtrack. because Paramount's like, what do we care about the soundtrack? And then he insisted successfully that the soundtrack be put out before the release of the movie to help create buzz. People listening to this might think, well, yeah, but at the time, this was not that, like, the whole idea of like using a soundtrack to market a film. It starts with Saturday Night Fever because this soundtrack goes on to make big business. So that was the deal that Stigwood got. Nearly 50% of the film and the entire ownership of the soundtrack.
You mentioned Lucas. This reminds me a little of like, didn't like Lucas get the action figures or something in his deal with Fox?
Yes, but I believe it was not just action figures. It was like entire ownership of merchandise.
No, but just like this idea that like the studio's like, what do we care? We want to sell toys. Like, that's not going to do anything. That's not money. And then it basically, by the late 70s, or like that starts an industry, for God's sakes. You know, that's still kind of alive and kicking now. It's crazy.
Yeah. But having nearly 50% of a movie,
yeah,
like that's crazy. That was the Stigwood deal and his brilliant strategic marketing using the soundtrack to essentially buy interest for the film. I mean, the guy made history with that move alone. So, I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I want to live in this movie. I love the whole disco scene. I love everything about this movie. The music, the style, everything. Now, Dion, this movie gets lumped in with other dance movies, but this is different than those dance movies. Like, I love Dirty Dancing. I love Footloose. I love all those things, but this is a real gritty movie. And a lot of people either forget about that or don't think about that because it's not really kind of put out and marketed like that.
This is not the movie I thought it was.
No, I don't think it's the movie most people think it is when they actually sit down and watch it.
Yeah. But the thing that like watching it again, like slaps you in the face is like, hey, I came here for, you know, mindless disco and this and that. And it's such a brutal film. It's so bleak.
Yeah.
I love that about it. And it really like treads a line. You mentioned like the language or the use of the word blowjob or whatever, or even just the profanity that's like throughout the entire film. Really, I mean, I guess a lot of it is in the script, right? What it attempts to do is not what you would associate with those images on the disco floor of, you know, Travolta dancing.
Yeah.
Watching it again, I'm kind of floored because like it hits all those highs. It is transcendent, everything on a dance floor in this film. But it has so many other things that it's doing, and it nails almost all of them. Like, it's a near perfect film.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's most surprising, is that like it's not just another, say, bubblegum disco film or vapid musical or, you know, feel-good musical, right? Love story musical. It's kind of that, but it's like a love story about a boy and himself.
This is more than a disco film. I mean, this is the disco film. Like, if you hear the word disco, I'm sure something from this movie comes to your mind, if not like everything about disco. This movie actually like gave disco a new life. When this movie came out, disco was kind of waning. This movie kind of brought it back and like catapulted it into mainstream.
At least until 1980.
But disco was on its way out.
Yeah.
Then this movie comes and it gives it a whole new life. Really the life, like the legacy of what is disco is Saturday Night Fever.
Agreed.
So, I mean, this movie, yeah, it has amazing music. It has amazing dance numbers, like iconic. But this movie's dark. And not a lot of dance movies also deal with, you know, things like abortion, crisis of faith, suicide, gang rape. Like, that's all in this movie. But I think this is why this movie holds up, is the music is perfect, the dancing's iconic, but they serve a story purpose outside of like entertainment for like us, the viewer. They are a shield, an escape from of this dark underbelly that these characters are living, that is their day-to-day lives, right? So like as we follow a guy who is the story's hero, Tony Manero, he's not a hero. Tony, he's very flawed. He's immature. He's selfish. But by the end of the film, we see him make real growth. He doesn't get a big victory or a happy ending, pun intended. Instead, he just takes like a small, genuine step forward. He admits that he's messed up and vows to be a better person. You know, he's a far cry from the guy who walked into the discotheque at the beginning of the film. Right from the start, like we see Tony Manero walking through the Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, you know, with the Staying Alive, right? And we see him walking, that iconic opening, paint can in hand, strutting to the beat of Staying Alive. It's more than just a cool intro. It's Tony's way of showing the world who he is. So like on the outside, it looks like confidence, but really he's just a guy stuck in his life and doesn't know how to escape it. Even the song Staying Alive, if you listen to the lyrics, the song is not about dancing. It's about the struggles people face. Life going nowhere. Somebody help me.
Yes.
The music, his walk, it's all like a bit of a shield masking the reality of his life. Because I mean, like he goes from this iconic intro to where? His reality, his dead end job at the paint store. Then where does he go from there? He goes home, right? Where he lives at home with his family. His dad is out of work and he's helping his family pay the bills. And what do we see? We see his family like argue and fight. And it's an immigrant story. I mean, like it's got everything, right? It's got like the generational conflicts with like his father. He's unemployed and he's angry. These frustrations spill over the dinner table. Tony tells his dad he's got a raise and his dad, you know, doesn't congratulate him. He shits on him because he can't get over the past and is carrying the weight of missed opportunities of his generation. And yeah, anyways, and I love all those family dinner scenes are so real. Most of them are improvised, I read.
Really?
Yeah. Like when his dad smacks him and he's like, would you watch the hair? That whole thing was improvised. And the Nona, the grandmother, same eat, basically in Italian, right? Apparently she had no lines. Anyways, I don't know. Maybe it's just like my own upbringing. Like I've sat at a lot of dinner tables like that. So, but Dion, jump in here. Like I'm all over the place.
Okay. I hadn't seen this for a few years. Watching it again, I was struck by, you've mentioned a version of this. I was struck by how kind of like how gritty it is. I guess generally you'd call it dark.
Yeah.
The thing that kind of slaps you in the face is, you know, kind of the rampant racism and misogyny. My memory of it, it was like, my God, the dance numbers, right? The energy or the charisma of Travolta as Manero. But watching it again, it's like, man, this Manero guy's a total asshole. And what you said a minute ago about he kind of comes to an awareness, he does, but like that's after he tries to rape the woman, right? Just like his friends do. There's so many things about the film that are, you wouldn't make this film again. Like you couldn't make this again. And I don't even mean because of the racism and the misogyny. I just mean that like the character is presented as a sympathetic figure. And the film goes out of its way to present this character as kind of, you know, like he means well, but he's, you know, he wants to get ahead, right? Like everyone, because like the film, oh God, like I'm going all over the place, right? Like everything from his dead end job to the ultimate dance competition. He wants validation. He wants to kind of win. And every step of the way, even when he has these small victories, the film goes out of its way to problematize them. Like the system, ultimately he wins the dance competition, but it's rigged because they vote against the dance couples of color who are obviously better than him. And he knows that. And it's like the system is rigged. And like, oh my God, like it's a story of America. Like it is so, especially in the late 70s, right?
That's why it's hard not to go all over the place, because you just think about scene by scene and there's just so much going on in every scene in this movie. But yeah, can this movie be made today? No. But this movie is also about a place and time, and I was going to say a group of people, but I mean, it is like the Italian-American youth of Bay Ridge, right? So yeah, the misogyny, the racism. Yeah, that's what it was like back then. Okay. This movie was, based off true events in a sense, right? Like I know Nick Cohen wrote the article and then if it was fabricated or not, but like Norman Wexler, who wrote the script, actually went into the discos, wrote what he was seeing. But the disco itself, it's like a stage, like literally, but it's a stage for Tony for admiration from the crowd to feed his ego. Like he spends so much time fixing his hair, checking himself out. And it's all just this like surface level stuff because he's craving something more, though he doesn't fully know what all that is yet. He's got these like Italian American idols all over his wall, like Rocky, but also Stallone, right? Like he's got Serpico, but also Pacino, right?
When you mention like the dance floor as performance,
Yeah.
the first thing I'm thinking of is like, yes, it is. And they are filmed wide master shot. So you can see him move from one side to the other. There are very few close-ups. So you could see him take control physically of the space.
Yes.
And the first thing I'm thinking of, it's like a play within a play, which of course we'll get in the sequel, right?
Oh, now Staying Alive makes sense.
No, but like he is playing a role, and that role is, as you're saying, it's like personal validation because everything is broken or corrupted.
Yeah.
Even family is, right? Because his parents shit on him. He is the black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
The church is because his brother basically kind of renounces his vows. Well, I already said the contest is. I already said like his job is. There are so many things. The revenge plot where their gang goes against the Barracuda gang to get revenge is totally broken because they ultimately like trash the place only to discover might have been them.
Yeah, Gus, their friend gets beat up and he says it was from these members of the Barracudas, and then they go and trash the Barracudas hideout. They tell Gus, and Gus is like, oh, it might not have been the Barracudas, right? It's like it was all
but that's like every facet of this film is undercutting this notion of like what is stable, what is known. So like he's trying to prop himself up while everything around him is like kind of fractured and false. The one thing he does have is Stephanie, right? This new love interest.
Yeah.
No, but like she is just feeding him bullshit. She is like trying to feed her own ego with her own job because she realizes herself she's kind of caught in this bad situation. She kind of like has to have this relationship where you're not even sure if she wants to with this older guy who's obviously helping her afford to live there in the city. Even the thing he kind of looks at as someone to admire, to kind of get to her level of maturity, is herself kind of an illusion.
Well, yeah, she's doing what Tony kind of yearns to do. Like she's from the Bay Ridge area, but she is escaping it. It kind of starts off with this guise of it's a romance, but it's really just these like two like what Joseph Campbell would say, like two wounded warriors. Like they have the same wounds, and that's kind of that's really what attracted them to each other. And look at me, I sounded smart. Okay, so it's but it's clear why they can't work romantically because Tony still sees women as conquest, not as someone as he can have a deep connection with, and that's something that he has to learn and understand near the end of the movie, right? But going back to like the disco floor as a stage, like what's the first thing he tells his friends before they enter the discotheque? Shape up, you assholes, we're the faces. It's all about the performance, literal performance and performance of who he wants to show who he is, right? We have that famous dance scene where you said it was like wide shots. Mm-hmm. Wasn't originally like that. The scene starts off with a pre-fame appearance by Fran Drescher. So she comes up to Tony and asks him if he's as good in bed as he is on the dance floor. And that brings Tony to the dance floor. And then he kind of pushes her aside and has his like iconic solo dance. Originally, John Badham kind of envisioned it with more close-ups to get into the head of Tony doing this solo dance that people are admiring. And then Travolta saw the rushes, hated it, actually stopped production for a few days because he wanted people to know that that was him dancing and that it should not be covered like that. It should be brought out like in longer shots so we're seeing everything.
I mean, famously, Fred Astaire, dancing for RKO musicals in the 30s and 40s, he demanded to be shot in like wide shots so that you would see the entire body in the frame. And this is something that Travolta himself basically, as you're saying, demanded in this like iconic pivotal dance sequence, in part what you're saying to kind of prove to the audience that it's not a stand-in or a body double. It's actually him, but also so you can see the figure in the space, kind of commanding the space. The dance floor is the one place he does feel confident, right? Like, because he is somebody.
Well, yeah, he has the power to, like, he clears the stage for his solo dance. It's about him. It's about his time to shine. So showing the people what he wants them to see and everyone loves it. shooting it in wider shots makes sense because we're seeing not just Travolta doing his dance moves from head to toe, but like we're watching the people watch him, which you won't get in the close-ups.
And because I know I listened to John Badham's commentary on the film, you also got to see the most expensive thing they had to pay for in the production, which was the floor, the illuminated floor.
Yeah.
I think he said it was like $15,000, and that would have been in 1977, so not cheap. But yeah, not only is it a character moment, but it's also just this entire spectacle, which even seeing it again, it is surprising how well it all works. You have the music, which for some reason is as good as it is, with this character in a moment in the narrative. And it's all very intentional and precise. And he is like, name your predatory animal. That's him, right? But then it's also the visual spectacle of it. Unlike the sequel, all this film was shot on location.
Yes, it was actually shot at the disco that Nick Cohen was writing about.
Yeah. Like it's transcendent. Like it's amazing that it all works as well as it does. Not just a meme, right? Like it serves a narrative purpose.
Yeah, it's the narrative purpose that makes it stand different than other dance films, because usually in other dance films, those numbers are for entertainment purposes and they're great. But here it's all story driven, which kind of just makes it all the more, I don't know, pick your adjective, like fucking brilliant. Yeah, so he does his solo dance. Everyone loves him, praises him. He's king. And then as soon as the dance is over, he walks off the stage. He joins his friends. What do they tell him? Hey, you're the king out there, right? Out there, you're the king. Once the dancing's over, he's back with them, like the peasants, like the rest of them, right? Like people aren't going up to him after he leaves, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So for Tony, the disco is where he shines. But I want to talk about Tony's friend, Bobby C.
Please.
One of the friends in his gang group. So Bobby C, played by Barry Miller from Fame. I don't know what happened to this guy, but everything I've seen him in, the guy's brilliant. So Bobby C, he's the friend he's always on like the outside, and the music doesn't offer the same escape for him. So like while Tony's out there dancing and getting all the attention, Bobby's like stuck dealing with his issues, his loneliness, his fear of fatherhood, and lack of real connection. Like even though he's with the group, he's always kind of outside the group. He's trapped in the same world as them, but he can't seem to find a way out, even with all the lights and the music around him. He opens up to Tony. He opens up to Father Frank. Like that scene where he's trying to get Father Frank's attention and just like...
It's brutal.
Yeah. And the guy's a priest, right? Or like was, right? Or Stephanie, or like anyone he tries to talk to, no one really listens. You really feel for him, right?
Just to make this, I guess, obvious, like he is visibly portrayed as almost like a younger brother to the rest of the teen group. Like he's physically not as big as them. There's that great scene where he lends Tony the keys to his car. Tony's going to help Stephanie move. And then he's like, but you're going to call me, right? Call me. And he leaves to turn, and you just see him like shivering in the cold with these 6-inch high platform shoes on, just kind of like hobbling away.
Yeah.
He's not presented as an equal to them. The rest of the friend group and all of them, Tony's brother and Stephanie, blow him off, so to speak. They don't like recognize him. There's so many moments when they do go to attack the Barracudas, right? He's the kind of the driver.
Yeah.
And he kind of like leaves them in part to kind of get away from the guy that's going to like attack him in the car. But they're all like giving him the side eye, like, you've abandoned us. So he's very much on the outs, physically, visibly, and the character dynamics.
Yeah.
He is almost like what you imagine Tony would have been 5 years earlier. He's not yet grown into himself, so to speak.
Totally. But yeah, he's the driver. You question if these guys would even be friends with him if he didn't have a car.
Yeah.
He was actually 19, not playing a 19-year-old, so he's definitely was younger too than the other guys. You really feel for this character.
Yeah.
Not a lot of abortion storylines are dealt with from the guy's perspective. He is really dealing with this crisis that he has no control of, and he's just trying to talk to someone about it.
There's that brutal moment after the White Castle restaurant where Stephanie and the gang are having a late night meal, and he's trying to get guidance. And so he asked Stephanie on the walk out, if you were pregnant and you had to marry the guy or have an abortion, what would you do? And she's like, who's the guy? And then he kind of stammers and he's like, it's me. And without missing a beat, she says, I'd get the abortion. And he just looks like someone has shot his dog. And then almost immediately there's a cut and they're driving in the car away. And he's got this, he's like, yeah, she's a really nice girl. Like,
yeah.
And it's so brutal because, like, you know, that dynamic. He's not willful or strong enough to kind of stand up for himself and say, like, I really hate your girlfriend, Tony. She's a bitch. And everyone else is calling her worse stuff, right? Such a small little moment. On the one hand, it rings true. And on the other hand, it is just so like soul destroying.
Oh, totally. And to add like yet another layer onto that, like it's also funny. Like it's also, there's a bit of humor to that moment, right? Where she's like, yeah, I think I'd rather get the abortion, walks away. And he's like, yeah, it's very nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of funny. Like,
yeah.
There's so much pain under that. There's so much talk on mental health these days, but like this guy, he's just desperately trying to talk to someone and no one will listen to him. And that leads to this isolation and his eventual suicide. And it's a heart-wrenching moment. That is the moment that we need in this film because it's the one that makes Tony and us, the viewer, take pause. This is the final straw for Tony. Because then after Bobby's death, Tony starts to question everything and everything he's done. And he realizes that the life he's been living, the ego, the attention, the shallow relationships isn't the answer. He's not sure what he wants yet, but something in him is waking up and it's the first step toward that change. And that's where he just desperately walks over to Stephanie's apartment, who he just physically assaulted hours prior, to helplessly he apologizes and just for the first time maybe ever in his life tries to connect to a human being like in a real way.
The moments of the gang rape of Annette and then almost like immediately followed by Bobby's suicide.
Yeah.
Like feels to me almost like it's too far. It's like it's too exploitative and there's too much of it. For me, right? And I totally agree with you that it feeds character moments. And so it feels organic and natural.
Yeah.
But it just feels like it goes too far. And then there is the line. I thought you were going to quote it because as soon as I heard it, I was like, this feels like this is great art. But when the police are there, they're all kind of like just waiting around. And the cops ask, did he kill himself? Was he suicidal? And they're like, no, I don't. And then Tony just says, there's ways of killing yourself without killing yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my fuck, right? Like to me, like that's the one line note of this film because everything all these characters are doing are in different ways just so self-destructive and so destructive. The thing I love about this film, and I think I mentioned this to you before we started recording, there is a shot, at least one shot for each of the mains and some of the supportings where they are just standing with a reaction shot and they're about to cry with their eyes.
Yeah.
They just look destroyed. Annette has a number of these. Tony has them. Stephanie has them. Bobby has them. Frank Jr. has them. Tony's mother. Like, there's so many of them. It's often not external, but you can just see that the world and their relationship to people in it is just killing them.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so Annette is probably the poster child for this in the film. Everything she does just beats her down, and Bobby the same way, beats them down and beats them down and beats them down until both of them, Bobby literally and Annette maybe like metaphysically, are just like killed by the end of this film. And Tony almost.
Yeah.
Even the scene with the gang rape, Badham I know had talked about trying to like be sensitive with this and not show as much. And so there's a focus on Tony just looking ahead. And he's crying, right? Like on the inside.
On the inside, yeah.
There's so many moments in this film that just, I'm shocked they fit as well as they do in this disco musical. Like,
well, I think that's why this movie connects. It's the pain that these characters are living. And, you know, we all have that in some way, shape, or form. So it's easy to connect to this movie, and it's easy to also vie for that escape. Maybe it's not disco for you, but it's something. Yeah, the way Badham shoots that gang rape scene, it's almost more disturbing because we know what's going on, but not seeing it, but just having it on Annette's face with a close-up, then Tony, but from Annette's point of view. So we only see Tony's face, the part of it that Annette can see from her position, which is more or less his side profile. But even then, you can still feel the pain from just that much.
This sequence uses the close-ups. We were talking before about the close-ups on the dance floor and how they didn't work.
Right.
Here, the close-ups is what you have. You have a close-up of Annette.
Oh, yeah.
She's kind of like enjoying herself in part despite Tony and in part for an escape for herself. And then it shifts and then it switches to like close-ups of Tony. Here, the close-ups, they just hit, and they hit fucking hard.
Yeah, because Tony, in his mind, he tried to stop this.
Yeah.
Right? Before, when his friends say, you don't even care about her. And then she's trying to kind of get at him with his friends. But I don't even think she realized what she was getting herself into.
No.
And so, like, you have these two characters that are just screaming to save each other. And at the same time, they don't see what the other one sees. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And yeah, like yes, there are likable anti-heroes. But like this film, with that ending, right, that last act of this film, there comes a point where you kind of almost don't like him, but you understand him.
Yeah.
And so it's not about validating him or encouraging him. It's just about like seeing this, what did you say, wounded warrior, or like this, like a lost soul trying to get control of something, anything. And that control is on like an illuminated dance floor for one night a week until the end of the movie when he doesn't even get that. It's like, oh, it's so good.
No, but like the movie ends like on a note of hope.
Yes.
Like there's hope for him still. We get the shot of his hand going into Stephanie's and they're going to be friends.
Effectively, they're going to start again, a new chapter.
Yeah.
This is what I would say. If anyone has not seen this film yet, spoilers, but it's such a valuable film to revisit. It's surprisingly amazing and tough. And both of those things, I think, it's like they're not mutually exclusive. It's such a good film. Like it's shocking how good it is.
To me, it's one of the greatest films of all time. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Utterly rewatchable. Every emotion you can think of. I mean, yeah, the most iconic music, the most iconic dancing, the most iconic style. But you take all that away and you still have a captivating movie. Like you have a great movie. And then you add all that iconic stuff onto it. It's just like, it's brilliant. It's just a brilliant film.
I'm glad I got to revisit it.
Do you have any final thoughts on Saturday Night Fever?
I could just keep going, so I'll say no.
I know.
Oh, here's trivia. Location scout for Saturday Night Fever, the one and only Lloyd Kaufman of Troma.
Yes, I did know that.
Because he basically had the same gig with Rocky.
Yeah, I was like, I know it's someone of note.
That's like 6 degrees of cult film.
The tagline of Saturday Night Fever. Where do you go when the record is over?
Manhattan?
And it's not posed as a question.
Oh, okay.
There's an ellipses.
So it's not it's not a question.
No.
Well, that's a weird tagline then, isn't it?
It's an interesting tagline.
Yeah. Again, like even that tagline is pitching it as where do you go after the end?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like not optimistic, not joyous, not escapist. It's like, oh man, it's so pessimistic. That's what I love. Like as much as I love the dance numbers, it's this tone of the film that is so dire. Great. So as a tagline, I think it totally meets the spirit of the film it's for. So to that extent, I love it.
I agree. Yeah. This isn't the time of your life, like this.
Oh, this is a time of a life, but it's not the time. No.
Yeah. It's great. So, like we mentioned earlier, Paramount execs didn't really think too much of this movie and were stunned in 1977 when Saturday Night Fever, which many at the studio dismissed as a shallow, even embarrassing film, became an unexpected sensation. It earned critical acclaim, an Oscar nomination for John Travolta, massive box office success, and, sparked a global cultural phenomenon.
I think so.
Yeah, so the budget for Saturday Night Fever was $3.5 million, and it grossed $237.1 million worldwide at the box office. And we mentioned the soundtrack that was put out before the film. It had 4 number one singles and was the number one best-selling album until Thriller. And then continued being the best-selling soundtrack upon its release up until 1992, when it was surpassed by The Bodyguard. So Saturday Night Fever is a big deal. And after Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta and Robert Stigwood would collaborate again. They had that 3-picture deal. So following this movie, they did a little movie called Grease.
Never heard of it.
No, I've heard of Grease too.
Okay, yeah.
And Moment by Moment. Have you seen Moment by Moment?
I have not.
Okay, we got to cover it. Okay, it's a love story with John Travolta and Lily Tomlin.
That's a pair I need to see.
So it's like an older woman, younger guy thing, directed by Lily Tomlin's partner and eventual wife. John Travolta and Lily Tomlin, who look identical. It comes across as like
mother and son.
Yeah, it comes across as like some weird incestuous movie. That movie didn't do so well. But anyways, John Travolta and Stigwood would collaborate yet again for a 4th time on the sequel to Saturday Night Fever, Staying Alive. So with that, I guess we should get into Staying Alive.
So that's what we thought about Saturday Night Fever. But we'd like to know what you think about Saturday Night Fever, or even what we've had to say about it. So please let us know, either by email. We're at cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us at Cult Film School at, your favorite social media platform.
Okay, Staying Alive. I feel like I should be humming the Bee Gees, but all I have is Frank Stallone in my head.
That's an eternal battle.
So if you go on IMDb, it'll say 5 years later, Tony Manero's Saturday Night Fever is still burning. Now he's strutting toward his biggest challenge yet, succeeding as a dancer on the Broadway stage.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't really have that much of a problem with it. I do like the fact that the little synopsis made reference to Saturday Night Fever to let you know it's a sequel.
Yeah, I have a question for you. Speaking of, I just want to keep talking about Saturday Night Fever. What does Saturday Night Fever mean to you? What is the Saturday Night Fever?
Like literally, what is so? I just assumed it's the the passport to the Boogie Wonderland, right? Like it's that thing you get in your body when you go out Saturday night.
Okay, I've always every time I watch the film, I think about the title. Because on one hand, you could be, it's Saturday Night Fever. That's the fever you get on Saturday night when you're, at the disco.
Yeah, that's what I assumed, yeah.
But there's this scene in the film where Tony's with his friends. This is Saturday afternoon, right? After they had Friday night at the disco. Mm-hmm. And he's complaining that he can't afford to go back to the disco on Saturday night because he doesn't have the money. So I'm like, is it the fever for the Saturday night?
Sorry, do you mean like fever in anticipation?
Like he has the fever for Saturday night, but like he can't have that Saturday night.
Oh, I assumed it was the other. It was like this thing that everyone is infected with because everyone is on the dance floor on these Saturday nights, like swept up in this thing. They're like on the one hand, like they've kind of like lost part of themselves. They've entered this kind of collective ecstasy where they kind of lose this thing. And it's this, that's what I assumed. Although your reading of it, that it's kind of a bad thing. Well,
I don't know if it's a bad thing. It's like something he can't have.
Oh, Yeah.
and that there's a fever for the Saturday night. Because I'm like, why would you name your film Saturday Night Fever and have your characters go out on the Friday night and talk about why they can't go back on the Saturday night?
Narrative drama? Conflict? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just like, what is that fever? Anyways, back to Staying Alive. So obviously Saturday Night Fever did so well, a sequel to follow was inevitable. So Norman Wexler went to work. He penned this idea of Monero would end up in the chorus of a Broadway show, but Travolta preferred a sequel where Monero like achieved success and be the lead of a Broadway musical. What happened while these rewrites were going on is Travolta went on vacation in Hawaii. And while he was there, he caught a screening of Rocky III and loved it and was impressed by Stallone's ability to deliver a sequel successfully and thought Stallone could bring that same energy from Rocky III to Staying Alive. So he calls up Stigwood to pitch the idea of bringing on Sylvester Stallone to direct. And that's where Sylvester Stallone comes in. He was brought in to direct and rewrite the script. He also took it upon himself to supervise training Travolta. So he spent 5 months with rigorous training to develop what he called a dancer's physique. But really, he just turned Travolta into Rambo, because Travolta looks amazing in this film. I want to be Travolta in this film. But anyways, so yeah, Sylvester Stallone, and it becomes the film that we see. And I'll just get this out of the way. I also love this movie. I also want to live in this movie. But this is more of a guilty pleasure movie for me. So I love it. I love Travolta in it. Like, this is Travolta at his hottest. I want to be him in this movie. But all that said, I'm not blind to the flaws of this movie. Like, this is not what I would call a good movie. The Monero character is very flawed, but not in an interesting character kind of way like the first movie, but more like flawed in the protagonist doesn't make sense in this narrative storytelling kind of way.
There's very little narrative storytelling in Staying Alive. I mean, let's be fair.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I do know what you're saying. And I mean, so all I was going to say is, like, I don't think I might need to watch it again before I'm able to say if it's a guilty pleasure.
Oh, you gotta watch it again. I watch it all the time. Like,
it's not a good film. And so, I mean, I've asked this question on prior episodes about, like, you know, like, can a film like this only be enjoyed ironically? Is this camp? And the answer is, yeah, it's totally camp. It has stuff going for it that can make one revisit it, but it's not really that interested in, like, narrative or character. I've heard Travolta in interviews describe Saturday Night Fever as Taxi Driver with dancing. And I've heard other critics describe Staying Alive as like a boxing movie, like a Rocky, but with dancing or whatever it is. I don't even know if it's dancing.
It's Dance Rocky.
I personally, I am not the authority to describe or decry what a Broadway musical is or is not. I don't know. I've never seen one. But even for me, this is a big stretch, a big suspension of my disbelief that Satan's Alley is anything connected to the real world and what one might see. Whereas Saturday Night Fever, you know, like, for the time and the place, that, like, yeah, like that feels totally lived in, like a snapshot of a moment in time. And we know this because, as we've said, it literally was a moment in time that the original author wrote about, and they went back to the actual locations and did it again there, right? The dancing and stuff. But everything it's Staying Alive feels like, the more I think about it, it's such a fabrication. Like, everything is just like, it's all like cotton candy. It's sweaty bodies bobbing around. Frank Stallone on the soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Characters, I mean, yeah, there's conflict, but yeah, I don't know. Hey, you go, because my opinion of this, there are things that are curious about it, but it's definitely, you have to approach this in a very different way than Saturday Night Fever. Saturday Night Fever, you can watch it and you can be like, oh yeah, man, I like the music, I like the dancing. And then you're like, oh yeah, and we also got this thing for you too. It's called a movie and it goes with it. And then this other thing maybe half of that. I don't know.
No, all this movie needs is Satan's Alley. That's all you need. Okay.
I watched it again this week. And so I hadn't seen it in, I don't know, like 40 odd years. I wasn't wowed by it for the first hour. And then Satan's Alley started, and I just like my ears perked up. I was like, oh, what's this? This looks fun. Where was this fun for the first hour?
I don't think it's a real musical, but I would love to see it. It's like Cats meets Flashdance meets like an Axe body spray commercial. Lots of sweat. Travolta sweats.
Oh, does he?
Does he? But yeah, okay. But here's the thing with this movie, okay? This is why I'm like, I love it, but I also understand its flaws. So like, there's what I think the movie thinks it's doing versus what it's actually doing. And when I say movie, I'm saying Sylvester Stallone. So I think Staying Alive, like the makers of it would say it sets out to redeem the Tony Manero character, like the impulsive, rough-edged character from Saturday Night Fever, by presenting him in like a more polished, respectable version, right? He's now left Bay Ridge and he's now in Manhattan and he's like domesticated and disciplined. I don't drink, I don't swear, like all that stuff. And trying to make it as a Broadway dancer in that rocky underdog kind of way. Like if only he got a chance, he could show them what he's made of kind of thing. The film seems to equate personal growth with becoming softer, or at least like saying you are. But while the movie thinks it's showing maturity and redemption, what it's actually doing is, let's say, sanding down the edges that made the Tony Manero character compelling in the first place. And at the same time, suggests that maybe he hasn't really learned all that much.
Of course not. He's the same god.
I'm just saying, like, that's what I think the film would say it's doing, but what it's actually doing is not that. Like him saying, like, oh, I don't do this, I don't do that, like I'm a good guy now. Like his behavior towards women in this movie is let's just say, if red flags were a fashion trend, okay, Tony Manero would be like a model.
I'm thinking of the music because like there is a number, and I just looked it up. It's called "Look Out for Number One."
You gotta look out for number one.
like he is. On the one hand, Tony Manero in Staying Alive acts the exact same way as Tony Manero did in Saturday Night Fever. To Annette specifically, he is kind of a womanizer. He like keeps one so he can kind of trade up and get a better one. And this is all, of course, to also not only fuck over women, but further his career. At the same time he's doing this, though, he feels even more naive than he was in Saturday Night Fever. He's like, when he's finally rebuffed, right? No one's ever asked me to like go home before, like.
Yeah, they have sex, and then she's like, "Yeah, I'm getting tired. Maybe you should go." And he's like, for real?"
So on the one hand, it is the same character as before, but what's different is that before you had these other layers, right? You had this internal conflict and struggle where he was really kind of trying to find his way. And in Staying Alive, there is no internal character.
Yeah, unlike Saturday Night Fever, where I'm like, yeah, he's flawed, but then you see the growth, right? There's no growth here. Like,
no,
he's just flawed. Like, he's bouncing between women. Jackie, who's played by Cynthia Rhodes from Flashdance, Dirty Dancing. I love her in this movie. She's sweet and she's supportive. And then you have Laura, who's like glamorous and manipulative and whatever. But he's the one doing most of the manipulating in this movie. He uses Jackie when he needs like a pick-me-up or a place to crash emotionally, but then like ditches her the moment Laura gives him any attention. And then when Laura isn't interested in anything serious, he acts shocked like he's been destroyed and betrayed by these women playing like the game better than he does. He objectifies women, assumes that their attraction to him is like a given, and then gets upset when they don't want him.
Or he gets threatened by Frank Stallone.
Yeah.
Jealous over Frank Stallone. It's like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, Frank Stallone provides soundtrack to this film along with the Bee Gees, but also plays Carl.
That sounds right. Yeah.
He's part of Jackie's band.
Side gig in a band.
Yeah, side gig band, yeah. Yeah, what do you all stay, pal? Yeah, you want disability? Like,
So I think we're kind of saying the same thing, which is that you have a character in Staying Alive, a central character, that on the one hand is not an interesting character because they don't change. Also not an interesting character because they don't have, how like characters will like have an inner world and an outer world, and the outer world, sometimes those things clash where like maybe the inner world will suppress or not say things, but there is no inner and outer. It's just the outer world. Like when he's on the phone and he gets the job, he's like, "Yay, Monero." You know the thing I said I loved about Saturday Night Fever where they're all like crying with their eyes? There's none of that here.
No. Staying Alive just replaces tears for sweat. There is lots of baby oil in this film. It's like the film's like, it wants you to believe, kind of the position of the film is like, it wants you to believe Tony's evolving, but most of his quote unquote progress comes in like the last 5 minutes, and even that's questionable. He dances his big Broadway number and then ditches his castmates and like his girlfriend and like struts alone on Times Square, and I guess that's growth. I don't know. Like he showed them, I guess.
All I was thinking when that whole thing happens in the big musical number, opening night, he was plucked from obscurity to play the lead, and he just fucks off and like changes the script and just does a dance solo that isn't in the script. And the director is like in the sound booth saying, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah.
His co-star, Laura, is like, "What are you doing?" And all I'm thinking is, okay, this guy's shit canned, right? The thing is going to be over. Everyone's going to throw him flowers. And then the director's going to go, "That was great. Here's your check. You're done."
Yeah.
Instead, no, we don't see anyone.
No.
It's just great. He's just, "Hey, I'm just going to strut."
Yeah, I was like, this didn't happen in Rocky. Like, that would have been a more like Rocky ending where he got like fired, but he showed them kind of thing.
Yeah, no, but that would have worked because then you would have had the strut being, in a sense, being the externalization of that inner, he won one.
Yeah, yeah.
He proved something to himself, to his mother. His mother is the only character, aside from him, that shows up. One scene they share.
Yeah.
And that one scene, I'm confident, is there to prove that it's a sequel. Because this film could totally stand on its own.
Yeah.
Without any reference to Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, that's why 11-year-old me didn't think it had any connection to Saturday Night Fever. Because like it kind of doesn't.
There you go.
But yeah, speaking of that one scene, I kind of love that one scene. It is the one scene that actually feels like a sequel to Saturday Night Fever, where like he's apologizing for how he behaved in the past, and she's like, that attitude's what like kind of motivates you, and that's what got you out of here. So like, don't apologize for like that kind of thing. Anyways, it's a great scene, but apparently there's a deleted scene with him and his father and him and Annette. Mm-hmm. I read, and I'm like, why the fuck did they delete those scenes? Like, whatever they are. Because I'm like, this film, not just tonally or like in character, it doesn't feel connected to Saturday Night Fever in almost any way, shape, or form.
No.
Aside from him being called Tony Monero, it could just be like another John Travolta movie.
But also another Sylvester Stallone movie.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. Like, Stallone did the rewrites, and it does feel like Dance Rocky. It also feels like Stallone... Okay, well, actually, here's the thing. He was actually asked to play the director, mm-hmm. and he declined it because he said he didn't want to, like, take away from Travolta, and also Monero is him. So I think he kind of took this movie on as a personal project. Like, Tony Monero in Staying Alive is a stand-in for Sylvester Stallone himself. There's echoes of Rocky throughout the film, like the constant rejection, the perseverance, the underdog clawing for recognition, that kind of thing. Fuck, there's even a "Hey, yo, Adrian" in this movie, right? When they're backstage, he's like, "Hey, yo, Adrian, showtime." I was like, oh, Jesus. Right? Like, there's as much montages as there are in Rocky 4. Rocky poster appeared in Saturday Night Fever, and now Stallone is back again, inserting himself directly into Tony's story.
I just wish the film had more excesses than it does in its final act.
What do you mean by that?
The third act kind of wins one over. There are songs on the soundtrack, even by Frank Stallone, that are like earworms, right?
Oh, yeah.
There are performances like Cynthia Rhodes that kind of give the film heart, where Tony's character doesn't really have heart in this film, in a way, right?
Yeah.
I kind of wish the balls out, almost literally, sweat-fueled fever dream of Satan's Alley. Give me 2 hours of that.
Oh God, yeah. I wish the movie was just Satan's Alley.
Yeah, because at least then, yeah. I mean, of course, the film is narratively building to this big climax. I guess what I was looking for is something more substantial in that build to it, because it just it's not there. It's hard to follow Saturday Night Fever, but I kind of wanted more from Staying Alive.
All I wanted more of was Frank Stallone. So, yeah, apparently Travolta got into a falling out with the Bee Gees over soundtrack, and that's why this movie soundtrack is like half Bee Gees and half Frank Stallone. That said, I love the soundtrack, both Bee Gees and Frank Stallone. I love it.
That's what I was saying a minute ago. It's surprising.
So we mentioned Saturday Night Fever had a pre-fame appearance by Fran Drescher. This movie also has a pre-fame appearance by someone.
Sylvester Stallone?
No, Sylvester Stallone plays Alfred Hitchcock in this movie.
Kurtwood Smith? I recognized him at the very beginning. I was like, holy shit, there he is.
That is Kurtwood Smith at the beginning, but nope. Patrick Swayze. You can see him in 2 moments. He's one of the dance extras. He's the one wearing a blue shirt and white suspenders.
Now, again, I don't know this from anything, but when I listened to the commentary track of Staying Alive on the recent Kino Lorber 4K, this was brought up. And one of the speakers, who I think is with the Irish Film Institute, said that rumor has been disproved. Apparently, there's someone that looks like Swayze, is what I heard. Someone that looks like Swayze is a background dancer.
Really?
Swayze would have been elsewhere filming The Outsiders.
It looks like Patrick Swayze.
All I'm telling you is what I heard in this. I think the commentary track was recorded in 2023, maybe?
Interesting. Okay. That's news to me. Because I've actually paused the film and I was like, oh, that's him.
On the commentary on the Kino Lorber, they make mention of, that's the dancer. And that's not Swayze.
Really?
So let's say it's an open question whether or not Swayze's in this film. Because again, I'm only going by I think they're credited as a film historian and someone who works at the Irish Film Institute. So I don't know what their credentials are per se. But yeah, one of them made the point of looks like Swayze, but not Swayze. And Swayze would have been elsewhere with The Outsiders.
Okay, well, now I just don't like this movie.
There you go. Because you would have had, because if true, you'd have half the cast Dirty Dancing here.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Hey, yeah, Cynthia Rhodes, yeah. But yeah, Kurtwood Smith is the dance choreographer or whatever at the beginning who has no lines. And then Stallone has an Alfred Hitchcockian cameo.
Yes.
I don't know if he's playing himself or...
Well, I just took it as a callback to Saturday Night Fever when Tony is strutting down with the paint can. And then every now and again, he'll turn his head and look at some woman who walks by. That it was kind of like that they were both checking each other out. Stallone checking out Monero checking out Stallone.
I think for Stallone, it was it's like looking in a mirror.
The homoeroticism in this film is off the goddamn charts. I mean, I don't think we've talked about this yet.
We mentioned the baby oil.
This is the gayest thing I think I've seen since that Village People movie we saw.
Can't stop the music.
Hey, that's not a good thing or a bad thing. If anything, it's a good thing, I think.
No, it's a great thing.
This is the camp, right? This is the excess. This is the performative stuff. But yeah, shaved down, clothing optional, baby oil swaddled, sweat-clad Travolta.
Oh, yeah.
That's this film, right? He is there as a sexual object for men and women. He progressively gets sweatier with less and less clothes as the movie goes on.
Yeah, he's sweaty, sexy, gay Jesus.
Oh, totally.
He's like a Christ figure, right?
He's totally a Jesus. Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Well, if that doesn't sell you on this film.
If you can make it past the first hour, yeah, you're in for a good time.
Yeah. Is there anything else? It's also a Christmas movie.
I think this is the least Christmas movie I've ever seen. There's no snow. Is there any breath? There's no breath. There's a wreath in a window. There's no Christmas tree. There's no carols. There's no Santa Claus.
But they mention it's Christmas in Manhattan.
They do. And when they mention it, I'm like, That's so cheap. But hey, now it's an excuse to bring it back every December. So maybe I have to keep it and rewatch it every Christmas.
Yeah, throw it up there with like Die Hard and Eyes Wide Shut. Staying Alive. It's your new Christmas movie.
It's quite a triple bill.
Any final thoughts on Staying Alive?
I mean, it's so sweaty.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this is of a period. Like, this comes out the same year as Flashdance. But, like, this thing is so sweaty.
Say it again.
No, I'm just saying, like, Staying Alive is surprisingly sweaty, and I knew it was sweaty going in.
Yeah. Come for the sweat. Leave with the sweat. Did we mention sweaty gay Jesus is in this movie? God. Fucking hell, I just want to rewatch this movie now. Okay. The tagline of Staying Alive. Tony Manero knows the old days are over, but nobody's going to tell him he can't feel that good again. The fuck are they talking about?
awful tagline. Like, no one told the people writing the copy for this what a tagline is, right?
I mean, I don't know. It feels like it was written for another movie.
I mean, but that's the whole point, is that Tony doesn't know the old days are over, and everyone is telling him he's no good except for his one love interest.
Yeah, Jackie.
Cynthia Rhodes. Yeah, like, she's behind him until he fucks her over, like, I don't know, 5 times. This is a really bad tagline.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We're in agreement. Great.
It's true. Okay. So, well, Staying Alive was not critically acclaimed, and it is one of those movies that's kind of lumped in with those like Travolta 80s bombs. This movie made bank. It performed really well financially. It had the biggest weekend for a musical film at the time. Ultimately, it earned $127 million worldwide, and it only had a $22 million budget.
20 million of that was Satan's Alley.
Yeah, so this movie was a success. I can't talk anymore. I mean, Paramount was so happy with Staying Alive that they considered having Sylvester Stallone and John Travolta star together in The Godfather 3 as their next project, which would have reportedly have them as rival mob leaders. Of course, this all went away when Francis Ford Coppola and Mario Puzo and Al Pacino decided to come back for a third one. But that's telling that Paramount was like, hey, this is so great. Let's give them The Godfather.
Well, it is telling that they didn't give them Staying Alive 2.
Electric Boogaloo? Sorry. So that was our discussion,
I guess,
on Staying Alive. What's your take on our take? Let us know. You can reach us on the socials or by email at cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, Travolta Sweats, Saturday Night Fever, and Staying Alive. To me, these two films are a tale of two Tonys. Watching the same guy in two wildly different genres with two very different ideas of what it means to grow up. So in Saturday Night Fever, you got Tony Manero, who's raw and messy with a redemption arc. It's a gritty coming-of-age story where disco is his escape, but reality keeps catching up to him. And then you got Staying Alive, where Tony's chasing his dreams, but now he's doing it in spandex. This version is the new and improved Tony. He doesn't curse. He doesn't. He's more focused, and he's trying to be a professional dancer. But deeper emotional complexity, not so much. One Tony is dancing to survive. The other is dancing to win. Whether he actually learns anything along the way, still up for debate.
You're a lot more generous than I am. I would have said not a tale of two Tonys. I would have said, like, this is the equivalent of like Spock and Bizarro Spock when he had the goatee, right? This is like a mirror. And what you have is you have Saturday Night Fever, and you have all that nice, polite, kind of eloquent character stuff you said about Tony Manero as a character. And then you have the fucking funhouse mirror on the other side, which is like the caricature, spandex, neon fueled, nightmare fuel of Satan's Alley and Staying Alive as a film. Because that character is not the same character, because that character isn't human. He looks like a Greek god. He doesn't have a thought in his head. that's not fucking over someone. And you could say, yeah, but doesn't he do that in Saturday Night Fever? And it's like, yeah, but he's conflicted. There's no conflict here. The only conflict is when he's looking out for number one and number one isn't laying down in bed with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is far from over.
God help me. You said two different genres. Yeah, I mean, that I would agree. But like, and literally you have like gritty, you could even call it an urban crime, coming of age story, immigrant story, story of America, his first film. And the second one could literally be science fiction, right? Like it has so tenuous connection to Earth. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is a tale of two contrasts. One is a film and one, you could argue they're both spectacles, but like the second one is a spectacle. It's not fulfilling as a narrative. It serves a very perfunctory kind of basic like underdog story, a story of adversity. You know, if you've seen any, I don't know, like sports film, that's what they all are. So it operates on a very basic level. Like the problem is the character's not nice and not interesting. And at least with Saturday Night Fever, even though he's not nice, he's kind of interesting, right? He's got layers. He's got problems. Staying Alive? No. They're both not what I expected. They both offer pleasures or excesses, definitely much beyond the poster and much beyond the tagline. That's reason enough to revisit both of them, honestly. If you think you've seen it all, you sure as shit haven't seen Staying Alive.
I recommend Saturday Night Fever, and I recommend Staying Alive. I love them both.
In our next episode at Cult Film School, we're going to return to something we love, and that is Italian schlock. We're going to be returning to two films that come to us directly and indirectly from Bruno Mattei and Claudio Fragasso. And those films are Rats, Night of Terror, and Night Killer. Yes, that's right. Mattei and Fragasso ride again next time at Cult Film School. It's a me!
God. Thanks for listening to this episode of Cult Film School. Leave a rating and review for the show and subscribe to the podcast to be the first to know when the next episode drops.
Follow us on Letterboxd and our social media, all at Cult Film School, and reach out with opinions on the films we covered in today's show and ideas for cult films we might cover in future episodes at cultfilmschoolpodcast@gmail.com. See you next time. Class dismissed.